Devil's Dairy, here we go.
Developed in Ireland, really small and very efficient. Wow. What do you think, huh? It's a little shifty. Shift the high dollar. That is really so rather quick. It's like a little piece of
Come on, make me some poop. Come on, buddy. There, eat it up. Eat it up. Come on. Yeah. Good girl, that girl. Get a big mouthful. Make me some poop.
Oh, yes, he does. A little bit of the hay that they want, but they'll sort it and then they'll consume all the candy, the good stuff. But if you grind it up, it's too difficult for them to do that. More drops, and every one of those drops is dead level with a 7-inch check. And what happens is the water fills. So where do the cows get water? Every one of those little crossover areas you saw, there's a water tank there. Okay. There's 4 on each side of the barn, okay. And they're 150 gallons apiece, and that's where they get their water. They stay in the barn during their lactation. When they're not in lactation, then they go out to pasture. And this is the wastewater from the barn in this tank here. So any water that's used in the barn for any purpose that becomes waste ends up in this tank. And we use that water to hydrate the manure that you saw being scraped out of the freestall barn in this tank here. We have an agitator that runs, and it's all based on level controls. And the waterman valve opens and closes to let the manure in. So we hydrate that down to about 10% solids so that we are able to pump it. And then when we can pump it, it can move to the digester, it can move to the separator, and it's movable. Then the last step in the process is we take that material that is left and separate the solids fraction from the liquid fraction. The liquid fraction goes into our line lagoon over here, which is hooked to our irrigation system that irrigates the farmland that you can see down there on the flat. So it's all gravity. We don't pump it. And we add that to our irrigation, and it's a fertilizer product. The solids fraction we either bag and sell as afterburner boost fertilizer for lawns and gardens. We sell a lot of that in bulk. And then we use some of that in bulk as well on our own pastures, places where we can't get the liquid. So,
is that your conveyor belt over there for loading?
That's my conveyor belt over there off of the solid separator, and it makes a pile in there after the separation comes. Wood fire.
Oh, this has wood in it.
This has wood in it because they bedded with sawdust for their cows.
Okay.
So when you add wood, it completely changes
Sure.
the end result. The wood tends to tie up the nitrogen
Sure.
as it breaks down. Ours has no wood. The nitrogen's available to the plants, so it's in our estimation a superior product because the plants like it better. What's that? We call it a septum. It's a lid basically. It's got a hole through the center, a 30-inch hole, a 30-inch hole, and a 30-inch hole. Through the center is an auger, and that tends to keep the crust that builds up below pulled through. It's supposed to, anyway. And then there's arms up here with agitator arms that run in a circle to keep the floating material on the top in the liquid so that it can exit the tank. The problem that we ran into, the physical problem, was the auger in the center, and we built up too much of a layer below the septum. We just about launched this baby. Really
Oh, boy.
it was very, very scary. I came in one day to wash my boots, and I finished washing my boots, and I hear a groan. What the heck is going on? And I ran to the top of the tank up the stairs. There's a half-inch plexiglass lid that sits on a manhole. The plexiglass was doing that.
And you
Big
ran back
diaphragm.
down.
No, well, I did. I ran back down and I grabbed a pipe wrench and I ran back up and I vented. I opened the valve at the top and it was letting pure methane into the building, and started the fan, left the door shut because the fan exchanges the air at a rapid pace. Went out and called up the system on my phone. The lower LEL level is usually 0.2 to 0.4. It got up to 76
Oh my goodness.
before it went down. At 100, it's explosive if there's an ignition point. And at 76, it started to come down.
So then you,
How'd you fix that?
How do we fix that?
Big wrench.
We're still in the process of fixing it.
Okay.
We haven't restarted since that day. So it's been a while. And it's we're not currently running at the moment. We've had a team of 10 engineers that have done digesters from all over the United States. They came, they wrote a report. Took almost a year for us to get the report. We didn't really like the report that we got.
Yeah.
So we're in the process of modifying that and going through their recommendations of step by step before we restart. So, and we have to do that. The biggest issue, they weren't ready for prime time when they went prime time. So that's the bottom line. There needed to be some more development. And we did a lot of development while we were running. We changed a lot of different things that we found, this isn't right. We'd call the engineer, how do we fix this? And we made numerous changes during that time. The biggest fault that we have is the crusting issue inside the tanks. Outside the tanks, we burn the electricity in a 454 Chevy engine, generated electricity, 50 kilowatt generator. The most we ever did was like 46. But there's hydrogen sulfide, H2S, in the gas. And H2S is liquid. Yeah. And the valve guides, or the H2S is gaseous form of hydrogen, or hydrogen
Sulfur dioxide.
what am I trying to say?
Sulfuric acid.
Yeah, sulfuric acid. That's it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
pretty much.
you can smell it.
Yeah.
Because I know the water sewage treatment plant up in Missoula, they have that similar problem, and they just like iron pellets and wood, they just run it through that.
Iron pellets and wood as a scrubber, right?
Yeah.
We're in the process of developing a scrubber with a couple guys that came through this very class, and we met right here. And they came to us and with an idea, and they have a scrubber in, I would call it probably beta. They're testing it at the treatment plant in Missoula right now. And they're basically using pressure and temperature to separate the gas molecules into
So they don't do the wood, they just
pressure and temperature.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a dry.
I found a guy that did the wood thing, and it was wood and iron filings. And what happens, the problem with that is that becomes a solid as it's as it's filtering the gas, it becomes a solid. And my next question was, okay, what then? He says, well, we give you a manhole. There's a manhole there and a door. And I said, and?
A big shovel.
And he said, you go in there and you break it up with a shovel and a pick and you shovel it out and we'll provide you with more. And I went, and you want $36,000 so I can do that?
Yeah.
It's easy as you think. You know, there's just so many little things that trip you up here and there, and you know, and that's what we found with it. You know, and then what we found when we were running and were generating electricity, because of the H2S problem and how fast it was degrading our engines, we weren't cash flowing. We were losing money on every kilowatt we generated because it was costing us more to produce it than we could get for it, even at the retail level. So, but that's a solvable problem, and the H2S filter would solve a great big portion of that problem. So
And you have another byproduct of salting.
your CO2 and your H2S, and the CO2 degrades. It doesn't harm anything. It just lowers the BTU per cubic foot. So you're not at pipeline quality. You got 1,000 or 1,100 BTUs a cubic foot, and we're in the 600-700 range because of our
It's
pollutants
amazing
in
that
there.
with all that they're doing with fracking and we're developing our methane, you know, with natural gas all over the place,
Right.
that there's not somebody doesn't make an economical box that we can just run this stuff
Run
through.
this stuff through, right? And we
You
just
know,
have we haven't.
Because I mean, it isn't. I don't think it is just for your industry.
No,
it's for all industry.
for all industry.
So I would think that
Yeah.
you find something out there.
You find something
Too
out.
bad.
But they are scrubbing gas and have been doing it for years. I mean,
Yeah.
as far as that goes. But again, on a huge scale.
Yeah.
So, you know, the
You
issue
make
is.
it at a pretty decent scale, though. You're not actually small scale.
No, it's pretty good sized tanks.
Cows, you
Yeah,
know.
but when you look at your cubic feet that we're trying to process a minute between 30 and 60, you know, and
Yeah.
those gigantic things are processing.
And those guys are storage tanks there, aren't they?
Right, that's actually the digester tank.
Those are the second.
Do you, that's what you're saying, you didn't have a
Do you have to have a 450 on that thing to turn your generator? I mean,
Well, I think a 350 would probably do it. I don't know.
I've seen some pretty hot 283s. You
Well,
know, pop up.
Corey, I think we should just go to that for our fracking plant and figure out some way to clean that gas.
Difficult one to do that.